Hey guys, how are you? Another literature break for you this afternoon. Um, Thought maybe I would read a bit of the Yosemite by John Muir. So this is chapter 4, Snow Banners. But it is on the mountain tops, when they are laden with loose dry snow and swept by a gale from the north, that the most magnificent storm scenery is displayed. The peaks along the axis of the range are then decorated with resplendent banners, some of them more than a mile long, shining, streaming, waving with solemn, exuberant enthusiasm, as if celebrating some surpassingly glorious event. The snow of which these banners are made falls on the high Sierra in most extravagant abundance, sometimes to a depth of 15 or 20 feet, coming from the fertile clouds, not in large angled flakes, such as one oftentimes sees in Yosemite, seldom even in complete crystals, for many of the starry blossoms fall before they are ripe, while most of those that attain perfect development as six-petaled flowers are more or less broken by glinting and chafing against one another on the way down to their work. This dry, frosty snow is prepared for the grand banner-waving celebrations by the action of the wind. Instead of at once finding rest like that which falls into the tranquil depths of the forest, it is shoved and rolled and beaten against boulders and out-jutting rocks, swirled in pits and hollows like sand in river potholes, and ground into sparkling dust. And when storm winds find this snow dust in a loose condition on the slopes above the timberline, they toss it flat into the sky and sweep it onward from peak to peak in the form of smooth, regular banners, or in cloudy drifts, according to the velocity and direction of the wind and the conformation of the slopes over which it is driven. While thus flying through the air in a small portion escapes from the mountains to the sky as vapor. But far the greater part is at length locked fast in bossy, over-curling cornices along the ridges, or in stratified sheets in the glacier cirques. I don't know that word. Cirques. Some of it to replenish the small residual glaciers and remain silent and rigid for centuries before it is finally melted and sent singing down home to the sea. But though snow dust and storm winds abound on the mountains, regularly shaped banners are, for causes we shall presently see, seldom produced. During the 5 winters that I spent in Yosemite, I made many excursions to high points above the walls in all kinds of weather to see what was going on outside from all my lofty outlooks. I saw only one banner storm that seemed in every way perfect. This was in the winter of 1873, when the snow-laden peaks were swept by a powerful norther. I was awakened early in the morning by a wild storm wind, and of course I had to make haste to the middle of the valley to enjoy it. Rugged torrents and avalanches from the main wind flood overhead were roaring down the side canyons and over the cliffs, arousing the rocks and the trees and the streams alike into glorious hurrahing enthusiasm, shaking the whole valley into one huge song. Yet inconceivable as it must seem, even to those who love all nature's wildness, the storm was telling its story on the mountains in still grander characters. Nice. Let's do a snip of something else. The yellow or silver pine. The silver pine, Pinus ponderosa, or yellow pine as it is commonly called, ranks second among the pines of the Sierra as a lumber tree and almost rivals the sugar pine in stature and nobleness of port. Because of its superior powers of enduring variations of climate and soil, it has more extensive range than any other conifer growing on the Sierra. On the western slope, it is first met at an elevation of about 2,000 feet. So that's the silver pine. Let's see. Any last little snip to nip into? Let's see. There's a whole thing about what kind of excursions you might like to take. Oh, let's some people. Hetchy Valley. Yosemite is so wonderful that we are apt to regard it as an exceptional creation, the only valley of its kind in the world. But nature is not so poor as to have only one of anything. Several other Yosemites have been discovered in the Sierra that occupy the same relative positions on the range and were formed by the same forces in the same kind of granite. One of these, the Hetchy Valley, is in the Yosemite National Park about 20 miles from Yosemite and is easily accessible to all sorts of travelers by a road and trail that leaves the Big Oak Flat Road at Bronson Meadows a few miles below Crane Flat, and to mountaineers by way of Yosemite Creek Basin and the head of the middle fork of the Tuolumne, I don't know how to say that. So, the Hetchy, you can go check that out. All right, one last nip. The birds. The songs of the Yosemite winds and waterfalls are delightfully enriched with bird song, especially in the nesting time of spring and early summer. The most familiar and best known of all is the common robin, who may be seen every day hopping about briskly on the meadow and uttering his cheery, enlivening call. The black-headed grosbeak, too, is here, with the bullock oriole and the western tanager, brown song sparrow, hermit thrush, the purple finch, a fine singer with head and throat of rosy red hue, several species of warblers and vireos, kinglets, flycatchers, etc. But the most wonderful singer of all the birds is the water ouzel that dives into foaming rapids and feeds at the bottom, holding on in a wonderful way, living a charmed life. Fun. All right. So that's a little bit of of the Yosemite by John Muir. I hope you guys have a great weekend and take care.